Good morning, everyone. So, for those who've never seen me before, my name is Douglas Wallis. I'm the EMES system engineer / product evangelist / other stuff. Title of the session is Meet FileMaker 16. Pretty much everyone has now, I hope, has been using FileMaker 16. Who doesn't use FileMaker 16? Anyone? Quite a few, well, 2 of you. 3? 2? That's it? That's pretty good. That's better than most markets. The reason I want to talk about that session that you've probably seen the webinars that we've done a couple of sessions, we've done FBA meetings. FileMaker 16 has been out for about 5 months now. But it's always nice to actually go back to the basics. So you can have great sessions over the next 2 days where they're gonna really dig into every features that we have. But I've got a small story to tell, like we all like doing in FileMaker, we tell a story about stuff. So mine doesn't involve Steve Jobs. Never had the chance to meet the guy. It's just basic stuff. So I've got 3 kids, and I've got 2 daughters, and they both play basketball. And the second one, who's got a pretty good team, has got a great coach. He's a really nice guy, and he's full into training. He really understands the fact that training is important. The one thing he's always saying to the girls, before they win games, because they win every game, is make sure you know about your training and you're filling the last stuff that has to be known in terms of defensing and stuff like that. For that matter, I'm now a coach, basketball coach, for my oldest daughter's team, and we lost the game on Saturday by 85-5 because there was no training. Basically, the previous coach never did any proper training. He was doing old version of what basketball used to be done 20 years ago, but he was never basically doing the new stuff. So this guy is a really good coach, and he works for a servicing IT company, and he uses FileMaker. And so we talked about FileMaker, obviously, as we do on our Saturdays, because we've got nothing else to do. And like a lot of our customers, he had been using FileMaker 13 for quite a long time, and they had this small system internally for contacts and for time billing purposes. It was mainly done by the admin. It was mainly done for the admin who was using an old Windows PC. Even though they were into IT, they never really invested too much into like the basic staff in the office. And like what happens in France, every 6 months you get robbed and people take all your laptops, all your PCs, and you go, wow, we've got to buy new stuff now. So they had FileMaker 13, never used FileMaker server, so they had like P2P sharing, vaguely a couple of backups on a USB drive once a month, if no one forgot about it. And so they had to buy new stuff, and eventually they said, okay, that solution sort of works, we have to get on the new system. And they bought FileMaker 16, and I said, well, make sure you buy the server version, so that way you have the backup of all the stuff. And one of the stuff he was basically saying was the issue was, when they had FileMaker 13, and I don't know if you remember when we launched FileMaker 13, there was a huge amount of new features that we had. 4 or 5 pages, and it was going everywhere, from the fact that you had to use styles to explain ESS, and people were getting really confused, which meant that at the end of the day, they weren't really basically doing that much training. So I said, well, look at 16, you'll see we have a shorter version. What we've done on top of that now, we have more videos, webinars, and information online to actually help you running. So the first stuff basically that he did when you first start using it, I said, well, go on YouTube and go to the Listurious pages, because Listurious has been creating small videos of all the new features in French that last from about 5 to 10 minutes. You will learn the basic of what you can do with those new features. If you know those new features, it's going to open your mind to what you can really do with the systems. And then we launched the Custom App Academy a couple of months ago. The Custom App Academy, which basically is a set of small videos that explains to you how stuff works. For a long time, it was a bit annoying, basically, how to figure out how FileMaker actually did work. Most of you, and as I learned FileMaker, was by having an idea, trying it out, not really sure how the function worked, trying to find the right function, stuff like that. So you're sort of a bit lost. You can actually get the FTS Advanced book, but that's basically 800 pages. And it's actually quite hard to actually find any information. When you have a really large, even if it's on a book or PDF, it's really hard to find information. So one of the stuff that we do, and now we say, is we help you to create better software, better app. We have to basically give you more tools, not just FileMaker, but the community as well has to be able to give more tools to users so that they can actually figure out how to do stuff. So we've done the Custom App Academy. currently learning English and Japanese. Got a couple of lessons. But since it's been out, we've had requests from FBAs all around the world saying, can you just give me the videos and I'll just localize and do training for you in our countries. So we had requests from Turkey, from Lithuania, from Poland, from Russia, basically all those countries saying, our English level is not as good as some countries like the Netherlands, or Italy, or some other countries in Europe. So we have to actually sort of do the stuff in a local language to be able for people to be able to use it. So they basically will be using that. And the second thing we've basically put in place when we've launched the new FileMaker community site, which was redone a couple of weeks ago, is we introduced app innovation. So it's a page where anyone can get access to, where you can find solutions or snippets of code or information to tell you how to use one of the features. So we have a great one from ClickWorks that was basically shown back in the US, and I think Joris is going to do a session tomorrow about that. And you can put all the information. It's really nice because people, instead of actually saying, I've got this request, it works the other way around. It's saying, okay, this is some of the issue that you can have. This is how I've got it to work. If you can use my code, it's going to work well. And what we had at the DevCon, we had quite a few sessions about curl and JSON and data integration, because that's the way forward of the market, is how do you get two systems to work together. As Julie was saying with the example of Louis, is you've got multiple systems, databases in the background. How do you get all those to work? If you know how it works, then you can get it to work. So on that page as well, for those who haven't seen it, we've got something we call Demo Kit. So Demo Kit was created by the system engineer team around the world. So we had guys from Japan, US, we all work together to create files that you can use. So the way we've done it is we take the platform and we say, okay, we have to make sure that whenever we show you stuff now, it's going to basically embrace everything. If it doesn't embrace everything, it's not point basically showing it. So all the examples that we created will actually work across the server-based, whether you use FileMaker server or the cloud, and all the client on top of it. So let's go back to the basic of 16. So you pretty much have seen that, but we really want to make sure that everyone's on par of how the messages go through. Everything that we do now is based on those 5 words: mobility, deployment, security, integration, and scalability. And the thing is, a lot more, as G was saying, is mobility is really important. And you have to, a lot of customers are going to ask you eventually, or within your company, how do I get mobility within my company? Yes, that's the thing forward. I was saying, my friend, the coach, their system was moved to 16. And for the time being before, they used to do sort of paper sheet and they never really know how to do it. And everyone in the company either had an Android device, an iPhone, or an iPad. So what's the best solution? Well, basically, you move your solution to be on mobility. So you create either a WebDirect interface, if you want it for the Androids, or you can actually do a FileMaker Go solution. And they've actually done that way, because most of the guys were on iPhone. They used the iOS app SDK, created a solution, put it on everyone's machine, and everyone's using it. So they've actually been able to make the move because they knew of that new features and they knew how to be able to use it because of the demo files that we had. So I'm not going to go through everything all the way through. I just want to make sure that basically, if you haven't been able to test it, go on App Innovation, get the small files. I'll do a couple of demos afterwards so that you can see what they look like and what they do. But I think they're really nice to be able to actually figure out where you can go with the product. And it will give you a vision of where FileMaker wants to go. So in terms of animation and transition, we've done that for FileMaker Go, so you can actually bring a bit more of that iOS look and feel. Because the issue sometimes that we have, and you'll see clearly, is if you have an iPhone, an old iPhone and a new one, with iOS 11 compared to iOS 7, in terms of design, everything's changed. It's not the same world. It doesn't work the same way. The interface is completely different. Even though it's minor details, the impression of the user is really important. The thing is, everyone's got a phone now, a smartphone. If you haven't got a smartphone, either you're under 15 or you're weird. That's basically the game now. And the way that people use their apps every day, it changes every day. You have to be able to actually do the same on the business apps. So everyone's got Facebook. Facebook has new version every week or so. I think the latest version they released is version 147. Facebook on the iPhone has been there for 3 years now. So they do new version all the time because they use all the new stuff they can find on the iOS. So your basic users have that vision of the market based on what they see on Facebook or your mail contact or calendar. you have to be able to bring them the same vision when you do your iOS app with FileMaker. So we have to bring you all the tools so that it actually works the same way. So you've got the animation, the enhanced signature capture. You've been using it when you registered at the entrance, so it's not nicer now because you have a small screen that you can actually control the position, so it's a lot easier to use. We've done region monitoring script steps. I don't know if anyone's doing a session on iBeacon. I've seen one, no, not this year. We'll probably get one for next year. That's going to be interesting. And custom paper sizes so that you can print directly better from the development as well. We bring you new stuff all the time so that it makes the interface a lot easier to use. So the layout object window is a really nice new interface because for your old users, it's clearing up the way they work, it's clearing up the interface. But when we want to attract new users, you have to compare the area where they work in FileMaker to other software on the market. And other software have the same interface now, vaguely the same interface as FileMaker. So it's a lot easier to bring in new customers because they don't feel too lost. The new car window, which is brilliant, because now on the iOS you can do great stuff. You can do action sheets. You can do pretty much everything that you can actually do before. So that's really nice stuff. We finally got the PDF support on the server and WebDirect. So now you can print directly. You can create PDF on the server. So there's no need to actually have your FileMaker PDF robots running in the background. That would kill the server pretty much all the time. Same for the UI on Windows OS. Microsoft is really going, hey guys, all the softwares on Windows have to have the new interface systems that we put in place. A lot of the software that we use on Windows, if you use Windows, are very outdated in terms of the outlook. The idea was to really move forward, and as Microsoft is trying to push Windows 10 and the interface, we had to follow with that. We've got a copy and paste value list. You can put variables pretty much everywhere you want now in FileMaker, which is really nice, especially when you have solutions that work on different servers, we've got different stuff. And we've done the data viewer, so it's a lot nicer. You can actually view the information straight away when you're modifying. At the integration side, that's the brilliant stuff, is really get FileMaker to be even more integrated with other systems. We had the ESS, we had a new version of the ESS with the adapter, so you can connect to PostgreSQL and DB2 databases. But now with the system with JSON and curl, you can basically talk to pretty much anything on the planet now. I know a lot of people are sort of sometimes struggling with how to actually get people. There's a great site that I use sometimes called Zapier, zapier.com, where they've got a great example of how you integrate two systems. And it will give you ideas on how to do stuff. Because most of the time it's like, I've got my data on my FileMaker and I need to connect to a calendar. How do I actually do that? Well, first of all, you've got to find which calendar you're using and stuff like that. It sometimes takes a lot of time to be able to find it. If you go to Zapier, they'll basically explain it, and it's quite straightforward. If you want to connect to Google Calendar, there's a great session that was done at the DEF CON by Steve Winters. It's actually online on the website. And he's done all the work to show you how to connect from FileMaker to Google Calendar both ways. He's done all the hard work for you, and he's just giving that away free of charge. Because in terms of security on Google Calendar, some of the stuff are quite complex, but he's free to give that to everyone. We've got the FileMaker Data API. I think Jan is going to talk about it today or tomorrow, I can't remember, which is a nice way to get that bi-directional transaction and two systems talking together. I'll do a quick demo afterwards just to show what it's doing. We've got the Tableau. So Tableau, everyone knows Tableau now because now it's really famous. Does everyone know Tableau? No, no one knows Tableau in Europe. The Tableau, it's basically Excel on steroids. It's a great way to do what they call low-code visualized work. So you got your data, you've got a huge amount of data, and it's always hard to be able to actually show on the screen properly. And we've all tried various stuff where we've done some couple of graphics in FileMaker, or you try to export that data and put it into Excel, or you might have tried a BI, so either from Microsoft or any other company, and they are quite hard to understand. Tableau basically went in there and said, low-code is actually quite good. And low-code can actually work in every department. And BI is actually something that a lot of companies do now. So we bring low-code to the BI system, and we make it really easy for people to be able to integrate the data. So you can connect to pretty much any type of databases. We've built a web page connector on the server, so you can connect really quite quickly. I think Kai, I can't remember who's doing. Yeah, Kai is doing a session tomorrow. He'll show you. He'll talk all about it. But it's a great way to be able to say, I've got my data in FileMaker, I've got my visualized data in Tableau, and both work together. And then we've got security. Again, security we talk about all the time. Now we brought the support for OAuth 2.0. I think that Robert, I can't remember who's doing the session on OAuth 2 tomorrow. No? Is it today? Tomorrow? I can't remember. You've got the clickable security icon, so you'll see icons everywhere now. I know that people get annoyed the fact that it's either green, orange, or red, and they can't find it, they can't find the colors. But if you click on it, it will tell you the error. And we've got the field level text encryption. And scalability, that's always important, is when you talk to big companies, when they say suddenly, actually, I've got a huge amount of users and I need 400 web direct connections at the same time. Well, now you can do it. Jasper is going to do a session afterwards this afternoon. He's going to show you how it works, all the stuff they can do. It's a really cool session. So a couple of demos, just so that people know what I'm talking about. So if you go on the community website and you go to App Innovation and you search for demo kit, so that's my iPad Pro. So we got this files basically. It goes from 1 to 8. There's no number 7. We're still working on it. We're having discussion internally of exactly what we want people to be able to see. And we're sort of fighting. I don't know why. Anyway, animation transition. Really basic stuff. But whenever you have customers basically who've only talk about the fact that they want the app to actually work on the iPad or the iPhone, you have to be able to actually use transition animation properly, because that's what they're going to expect. They're going to have their iPhone, where I was saying before, they have natural iOS apps. They have to be able to see the same stuff on their FileMaker. So the way we've done demo kit, for those who haven't seen it, it's the same theme everywhere. We've kept it really sort of simple. You've got 3 buttons at the bottom every time. You've got the info, the what, and the demo. So the what is all about what is it for, where you can find it, and what you can do with it. So basically, it will tell you the script steps, how they work, all the various information you can find with it. On the next one, you have the how. It basically tells you all the different parameters you can use in those script steps. You've got a quick try button at the bottom. When you click on that, it'll give you stuff. So I've got a flip, I've got a zoom, I've got to zoom out, you've got the slide and stuff. So it's quite easy basically. It gives an impression. You've got all the scripts there, basically everything's open, so you can test everything. It's quite straightforward. And at the end, we just give you a quick demo of how it works. So in my case, if I activate animation, you get the slides. And it's really important. I mean, the thing is, for you, most of the time you may be able to do it, but for a lot of customers, basically, for them, that's natural. That's the way they imagine the software is going to work from day one. So from day one, make sure that if anything has to be iOS based, get with the animation, get with the transition, because it's a lot easier for people to naturally be convinced of how it's meant to look than having to actually fight against them, saying, "Well, actually, I forgot about doing animation. I'll do it now," which is always too late. The second one that I have is, of course, so I'm not going to do the monitoring, but I'll just show you the enhance in case you haven't seen it. So for the enhance, before it was basically the whole page. You can do much with it. Now you've got 3 options. So you can do overlay, embedded, or full screen. So we use that on the registering device when you're joining the conference. And it feels natural, and it feels a lot nicer than before. Last year when we used it at the, I think it was the FNCon in Avignon, it took the whole screen. People were like, okay, do I actually have to turn my screen around, or how do I actually get it to work? So that's the edit script step. You have the full screen, you have the overlay, so if I type on it, as you can see, you can control it, and you can move the window around. and then you've got the embedded, which basically stays on top of the container. So a couple of stuff maybe for those who haven't used it and think of actually using it. There's the minimum size embedded. It's 318 by 165. If you get anything lower than that, it will go into overlay mode. So if I click on the second one, you'll see it goes into overlay mode. In terms of the positioning of where the embedded goes, well, that's, say, if I got two fields, the first one, if I click on one. So you can control where the embedded goes. It's the same field. It goes on the first one. So there's a couple of stuff that you have. But if you use the demo kit, basically all the stuff you'll see quite quickly, and that saves you the time of having to figure out whether you think it's actually a bug or whether it's actually where the feature was actually built. And then if we've got a couple of demo, if I did demo one, because that's actually quite nice. It's one thing, basically, we have one client, large French company. They do, it's called Thales. They do, they build, they work with the Gendarmerie in France to set up the supply for all the cars that got the flash systems. And the problem that they had before was they had to actually have 4 guys to sign. So there's the guy who puts the equipment in the car, there's the driver, there's the captain of the section, and there's the guy who's getting it. Before, they basically had a system where when they used to actually sign on the iPad, it was really confusing because they had to actually have 4 different pages and everyone had to move back and forth. Whereas now the idea is on one page you can see who's actually signed. So they could basically have at the bottom the 4th signature. You click on one, someone signs, they click on the second one, and they have the signature, and they can see everything on one page instead of actually having a lot of figuring how to do it on different layout. They just use the feature the way it's meant to work, and it works great for them. If I show you the next one that I have, so the call system, which I think is one of the better features that we have now, because it gives you a better way of it's your version, it gives you a nicer way to be able to actually create how you want to do your interfaces. Before, if you had an application on iOS, if you had 2 windows, it was really weird to actually move back from one to the other. Now with the cards, basically, you can actually have it whether you have a model window where you can actually have different information, and you can control all the stuff that you want to do on it. If I click on the screen of the MacBook, it's not going to work. So it's quite straightforward. We've redone the interface. That's easier to actually be able to see what it does. It takes everything into whether it's actually a dialog box, a dialog window, whether it's a new window. We've kept it the same way. And it's quite straightforward to use. You can control it. You can set the positioning. A couple of stuff you've got to remember. It's got no Windows title. It hasn't got a border. You can't zoom into it. You can have the custom menus in there. Everything that is into view layout mode objects will be supported, and you can dim if you want the parent window. So you can do pretty much everything you want with it, and it makes it nice to do some really nice space. So on the demo, basically, one of the nice things that I'm using internally in terms of systems that we're building is the option to actually create an hamburger menu and have a layout as a menu that you only change it once. So you have a layout where you put your menu, and every time you want to basically use it, you just reference to that layout, and it just shows up. And it's saving a huge amount of time, because before, if you had a pop-up, you had to actually copy the pop-up across 20, 50 layouts. Whereas now you just do it once, and you know it's going all with the same information. So into the how, it's quite straightforward. It's a new window. You can select the light. the weight, whatever you want to put it. In terms of the size, you can either have it straight in the center, or then you can modify it and say, I want it. It can be calculated value, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. You've got the option to actually have it dim or not. But it's really nice. Maybe even on the iPhone, if you want to do like action sheets, you can actually do them now quite easily. So the stuff that basically was quite tedious to do afterwards, where you only have the show light of the box, now with that version of the car window, you can do it pretty much everywhere. So you get different stuff. You can move. You can interact with data from the back window or not if you want to. So as I was saying, is basically give it a try. For those who haven't sort of been able to play too much with car window or any of the functions, you've got everything in there. And the last one I'll quickly show you is the support for the PDF. So now you can basically get the server to create a PDF for you straight away. So on the demo file, you click on that on the demo, and you'll see instead of actually creating the contract straight away or getting the PDF to be created, sorry, about the app, you actually get the server to do it for you, and then the server will basically put back in there. So a lot of the time we have people basically asking how on earth does it work. And on the community, people are always saying, okay, but how do you actually get the server to create the PDF and put it back into the system? So if you go on that file, you just do a search for PDF, and you'll see that line. Zoom in a bit. Basically, it just does the normal stuff. It creates a variable. It'll do save as export into the variables, and then you just insert from URL directly into the stuff. So don't use insert from PDF because you can't do that on the server. But just use insert from URL with the file and the 3 slashes. Better make sure you use the 3 slashes, because depending on which system you use, whether it's Windows, whether it's the new version of Mac, Sierra or iSierra or another version, it's sometimes got a bit weird. But you can find the file on the community for whoever wants to use it. And the last one I'll quickly show is the data API. So the data API basically is just runs on a server, so you have to actually have FileMaker server. It's currently in a demo stage, so it will be a demo until September 27th, 2018. You've got plenty of time to be tested. As everyone's asking, it's actually not something that's going away. It's something that we're really putting into the system. The idea is, as a demo, is we want to make sure that we get all the feedback that we can from the community. So you have to test it and give us the feedback to say, this works, this doesn't work, we don't get this is not that good. So it's basically, for once, we are saying, give us the feedback. If you want to complain, like you always do it. It can be good, it can be bad, but we have to actually get a lot of feedback to make sure that when we put it as a normal part of the product, we have something that works quite nicely. So when you use the data API, there's a couple of stuff you're going to have to learn, basically. You're going to have to learn a bit of curl, tiny bit of JSON, because the JSON is actually quite standard now, and it's quite readable. But a bit of curl that you have to learn. So I'm not going to go into every details, because I think Jan is going to talk about it in this session. I just want to basically sort of point out the way it works. So you have a couple of command that you can do. So you can log in, log out, create records, delete records, edit, get them, get one, get many, and stuff like that. The first stuff that you have to do with every system is you basically have to give the host name, the file name, username, the password, and the layout. So I know that in terms of asking for the layout is a bit weird when you talk about API. That's currently the way we build it. I know that when companies are saying, well, actually, if I get someone else who wants to talk to FileMaker and doesn't know how FileMaker works, they're not really going to understand the fact that they have to actually ask for a layout. So that's something we're working on to make it get the information across in a better way. So anyway, so I've got my curl. That's basically how it's built. You can use the familiarity URL, or that's the way of listing it. And if I send a command, I get back a token. So like every API, you get a token back. And that's the token that you use to be able to query the data, modify it, and do whatever you want with it. So I've got so if I basically go back into my layout screen, my tokens basically is there. So if I log out and send a command, it will log me out and give me the error code and the result. So quite standard. You can do everything. So in here, if I log in again, I'm logged in, then I can get my records. I'll see if I've got. So in terms of data, it's got nothing. It's got a couple of lines, but you see basically I just got names. So I've got me, I've got Brad, I've got Dan. I've got the record ID, I've got the modify ID. I think it's the same with that. But basically, it gives you basic information. If you want to create new data, you can quite easily do that. I can just do create a record. I've got two fields. So I'll use if. And it's creating my entry. And now if I go back and get all my records, it's there. So pretty straightforward, but it's a nice way of getting stuff to work together. If you want to know more, there's a great session that was done by Todd Geist from Geist Interactive. So for those who know him, he's like a mad scientist who loves doing stuff in FileMaker. He's done a great session. He's pretty online on their website. If you look at Geist Interactive, he's got a nice way of basically getting to do a quick web server on the side so that you can get any software to talk to that web server that will feed the data back into his FileMaker system. I think the example that he's using is he's done something with a calendar system. So every time basically someone books a meeting onto any type of calendar, whether it's Google, whatever, it goes back into your main systems and that creates automatically the entries in FileMaker quite in a nice way. So that was done quite quickly. Quite nice. To go, so demos. That's quite a nice thing. So I think that, I don't know if Jasper is going to showcase. He's only got a 15-minute session. He's got a lot to talk about. But that was one nice thing that we really want to sort of make sure people are aware is now you really kind of you can really get quite easily 500 users for WebDirect onto multiple servers. We've made it a lot easier to be able to install. For those who tried the standby server, where the standby server didn't really have an interface, a lot of stuff had to be done manually. People didn't actually like it. And a lot of the time we find that if it has a nice interface, people will actually adhere to the program. So that's all the new stuff that we have. And moving forward, we really sort of gonna really keep it the same way so that it's a lot easier for people to actually see the evolution of the program, see the evolution of the product. If we suddenly next year change too many stuff, people are going to get lost and they're not going to move to the next version. It's the one thing which is quite important for us, is to make sure that people use the latest systems, because every time that we have a salesperson in our office, a lot of the time we have people saying, I'm on FileMaker 13, I've lost my machine, my laptop's died, what can I do now? And all we can say is, well, you have to buy a new version of FileMaker because your new MacBook is not going to work with something that was created 5 years ago. So really sort of make sure you have always the latest information, the latest update and stuff like that. And everyone's going to push for that, whether it's Microsoft. I know I'm repeating myself because I said it in all the sessions, but that's the way that Microsoft, Apple, and everyone's moving forward, is make sure that you have always the latest version. For us, it's a lot easier to manage. If we have the more people that we have on the latest version, if we have a bug, it's a lot easier to find. You've seen that we released a couple of updates recently, is because the issue that we have, like customers on 14, 15, 16, stuff like that, if there's a bug somewhere and you have too many versions to be able to look at, it's really hard to find a bug. But if you have more people on the same version saying there is a central bug there, it's easier for us to find it, and it's easier for us to fix it. So that's to be just one thing. It's tech support. So if people have got macOS High Sierra and have actually got bugs in terms of the interface and stuff like that, there's a couple of stuff. So there's stuff that we're actually fixing on our end, but there's stuff that Apple has actually modified in terms of what they call the NS view. And sometimes you have windows that appear quite weirdly. That's been fixed by Apple on their end and by us. So Apple's going to release quite soon an update that fixes all those issues where it doesn't sort of when basically you want to do a print, the window doesn't come up properly. That's something that's being fixed by Apple. I mentioned that because everyone's got Apple, everyone's got a PC here. And back on time, you've got 15 minutes for coffee now. Thank you very much. Then we're going to have Anand talk about FileMaker Cloud, which will be quite interesting. Thank you.